So my stepson just called me mom, and now my husband is going diabolical. He's so mad about it. He says I'm not the real mother, his late wife is. Guys, this one is about to escalate.
I never thought that something as simple as being called mom by my stepson would end up unraveling my entire marriage and life as I knew it. But that's exactly what happened about a year and a half ago, and I'm still dealing with the messy aftermath today. So, I'm a 40-year-old woman, and I was with my ex-husband for 10 years in total. We dated for 4 years before getting married, and our marriage lasted 6 years. I finally got the courage to leave him. I mean, we didn't have any bio children together, but he had a son from his previous marriage who I helped raise since he was 7 years of age. My stepson, well, he was a shy, sweet kid who took a while to warm up to me when I first started dating his dad. But over the years, I worked hard to build a relationship with him by attending his sports games and school events, helping him out with homework, and trying to be the best caring maternal figure in his life I can be. I even took him to Yu-Gi-Oh! Tournaments. By the time he turned 13, it really felt like he had accepted me as part of the family. In fact, on his 13th birthday, when I wished him a happy birthday and gave him a hug, he called me Mom. Mom? Well, I was overjoyed. It was such a special, tender thing for him to acknowledge me the way that he did after so many years of being in his life. But my husband did not share my joy. When my husband overheard our exchange, he flew into a sudden, inexplicable rage unlike anything I've ever seen from him. His face turned red and he started yelling about how I was not his real son's mom and that I did not have any children of my own. He went even further by saying if his late wife could ever come back from the dead, he would divorce me instantly. I was completely blindsided and stunned, and I'm sure you guys are too listening. So I tried reasoning with him and reminding him of how long I've been involved as a step-parent, but he just got more irate. He said that I could never replace his son's real mom, no matter what I did or how I felt, and, well, I felt like I've been stabbed through the heart. I'd always respected my husband's enduring grief for his late wife. I never felt threatened by her memory, though. Now all my insecurities came bubbling to the surface in the worst way possible. So, in the months that followed this blow-up, my husband retreated from me emotionally, and even physically by moving into another bedroom. Our once happy marriage deteriorated into him angry, snapping at me and cutting me down whenever we did interact. I was constantly walking on eggshells in my own home. Uneasy with his unpredictable mood swings, I knew I needed an outlet just to process everything I was feeling. So I turned to anonymous online forums, just to vent, get support from understanding strangers. Well, for a while I desperately clung to the fraying remains of our marriage, while also seriously contemplating divorce lawyers. Our relationship was just stuck in purgatory as I wavered between working on repair versus making plans to leave. All the while, my stepson watched silently with hurt in his eyes as his parents' relationship was crumbling. Well, it all came to a head about 6 months after my husband's hurtful reaction to me being called Mom while he was away one weekend. So I quickly packed up a bag and, well, left. I did put a note down, but I drove 16 hours straight away to stay with a childhood friend a few states away. The physical and emotional distance gave me clarity that I needed, and I realized I contorted myself to try to fit my husband's unfair expectations for far too long. I deserved better than always having to play second fiddle to his late wife's ghost. With my friend's support, we talked all night. I found a divorce lawyer and took steps to protect my assets first. So, when I returned about 2 weeks later, my husband was suddenly so apologetic and wanted to genuinely work on our issues in counseling. I hesitantly agreed, but deep down I knew too much damage has been done. Even though we managed to reignite some of our lost passion, the broken trust could just never be fully restored after seeing how cruelly he lashed out at me. So, Behind the scenes over the next year, while going through the motions of counseling and relationship repair, I discreetly met with lawyers to plan my exit strategy. So exactly 1 year after the wretched argument that started this mess, I was ready. I asked my husband to go out to dinner at our favorite restaurant on our anniversary. When he arrived, all smiles and excitement, I slid a manila envelope containing the divorce petition across the table. As expected, he reacted with total shock and desperate pleas to work things out. But I stood firm. I looked him in the eyes, and he knew that I've made my decision. I've supported this idiot financially and emotionally, and I'm done. I walked through the meticulously planned division of assets that I'd worked out with my lawyer, leaving him no room to fight me on it. After being together for a decade, I knew the nitty-gritty details of our accounts and holdings inside and out, so myself, a formally sweet, compliant wife, had shown I was not to be trifled with. In the difficult months that followed our split, my husband tried every single manipulation tactic to make me feel guilty and reconsider. But I focused on rebuilding my life with the help of supported friends, and even my stepson, who understood why I had to get out of there, despite the plan of losing me from his daily life. Now, nearly a year and a half since I left my old life behind for good. I'm proud of how far I've come, and I've even moved to a new city, reconnected with old friends, joined hiking and book clubs. I started dating again. I began to rediscover these passions and parts of myself that had long been dormant. Just when I thought I had closed the door on that chapter of my ex-husband, well, unexpectedly, he showed up at my doorstep one night, looking completely unhinged. He claimed he's been tracking me online for months, and demanded I talk to him because he missed me so much. Weird. Well, against my better judgment, I agreed to speak with him in public. It quickly became clear he was mainly interested in reconnecting due to his financial struggles. After the divorce, and hoping I would let him back into my life and the resources that come with it. The audacity. In a moment of weakness, I plotted a pretty elaborate revenge plan, and I'm going to string him along by pretending to take him back. Well, only to eventually publicly humiliate him while recording it and all his erratic behavior that he's doing. But at the last minute, I realized stooping to his level, it could just make me no better than him. So, I deleted the social media post I queued up to expose him. Unfortunately, my drama was far from over, and I probably should have posted it. So, days later, I received an anonymous email with a very disturbing personal file attached, making it clear my ex has been watching me, gathering dirt to use against me, and the message ominously said, "We're not done yet." I'm now faced with this impossible decision. Give in to this sick game to avoid him destroying my reputation, or fight back even if it means unstable retaliation from him down the line. I'm working on beefing up security at home and limiting my digital footprint in the meantime as I figure how to take back control of my life once and for all. This saga has become a toxic nightmare, but I'm trying to remain strong, remembering how far I've come already on my own. My online confidants who have followed my story from the get-go, they're rooting for me. I hope one day I'll be able to write a happy ending when I'm finally free from this mess. I'm too stubborn to let my abusive ex win this twisted war of wills. And you know what? Why do I always attract the weirdos? Oh, wish me luck. Who knows what's going to happen, but I will let you guys know everything. What's up, guys? So we have an absolutely crazy update, and the title is, I could not let my creeper ex have the last laugh. So I plotted the perfect revenge scheme. Let's go ahead and jump into update number 1. And if you guys have not had a chance to hit that subscribe button, what are you waiting for? Daily revenge stories every single day. Hit that subscribe button. Here is your update. When I last updated this saga, My abusive ex-husband resurfaced in my life unexpectedly and made it crystal clear. He's still obsessed with me in the worst way possible. After finding deeply disturbing personal files that he compiled by watching me for months, I was faced with an impossible decision. Give in to his sick games or fight back even if it meant unpredictable retaliation. So, I received an overwhelming outpour of support from the community, urging me not to let my cruel ex intimidate me again. You all reminded me of how far I've come to rebuild my life, and convinced me I'd owed it to myself to stand up to this bully rather than being manipulated. So I took your advice. I hardened my resolve not to cave to his twisted desire, but also I knew just ignoring his threats would likely provoke him into lashing out against me publicly. So I racked my brain trying to figure out how to turn the tables on him. That's when it hit me. The only way to stop a creeper is to creep right back and gather irrefutable proof of wrongdoing. I knew it was a risky business, but could not sit back helplessly while this unhinged man tried regaining control of my life. It was time to go on the offensive. So I started quietly doing my own surveillance, tracking his movement around town, documenting any interactions I had with him. I even invested in high-tech hidden cameras. Yeah, I say high-tech, they were $30 on Amazon. They were great, though. Oh, and some recording devices just to capture evidence if he approached me in public. And I also got some fancy glasses. They have a built-in camera on the side and can run in 1080p. Well, at first it was all just for a precaution, but soon an elaborate plot for revenge began to take its course. If I could catch him destroying my property or making a physical threat in 1080p, it would give me the leverage I needed to get a restraining order and force him to stand out. So, I started intentionally provoking him. I know, this is probably where you guys are going to turn against me, but that's what I did. And subtly needling here and there to push his buttons when our paths would cross around town. You know, a casual flirtatious glance from across the room. Well, that would keep him spiraling for days. I made sure my hidden camera caught it all. Well, slowly but surely, I coaxed his harassing behavior out of the shadows into the broad daylight. The final nail in the coffin for Buddy was when I asked an old male friend to be seen. Out with me at a restaurant I knew my ex would be at. He can't resist this restaurant. So as expected, he showed up drunk and made a scene screaming at my friend. When he lunged aggressively, I had him arrested on the spot thanks to the footage from my 1080p glasses and the 6'6" bouncer that witnessed it all. With his arrest on record, combined with just reams of documentation proving his frightening obsession, I successfully filed a restraining order that forced him to cease all contact with me and stay the heck away from me. He was livid, of course, claiming that I set him up and exaggerated the situation, but it was too late. The evidence spoke for itself. For the first time in over a year, I finally felt empowered again, now that the law was on my side, keeping this man away. Well, I can't even go on a date. I can't even walk down the street without this guy meddling in my business. Well, part of me does feel guilty resorting to such extremes. The relief of being free from his harassment is overall above all else. Anyways, months have passed after achieving this victory, as I call it. But I'm happy now, happier than ever. I ended up moving across the country and limiting my online presence to prevent any renewed issues when he gets out of jail, while constantly watching over my shoulder for his unwanted return. It took an emotional toll these past few years on me. In the end, fighting and all the harassments with more of the same felt like the only way to beat him at his own twisted game. Perhaps I didn't take the high road. But my conscience rests easy knowing I used his playbook against him just to protect myself. So I need to know from you guys, do you think I went too far by setting him up just because I knew he was going to strike? Or do you think this jerk deserves to be in jail? And if you're wondering about my stepson, yeah, he doesn't really know everything that's going on between me and his dad. And I hope he never finds out how crazy his dad really is. Anyways, that's probably all I'm going to update for now. What's up, everybody? So we're going to check out a couple comments. These comments are replying to OP, but they are giving some advice, and these two commenters are not agreeing with one another. So here it is, comment number 1 from Daffleduck33. I'm glad you were able to get the restraining order against your creep ex, but I have to say some of the ways you provoked him on purpose really rubbed me the wrong way. I get that you felt trapped and desperate, but purposely needling him and trying to catch him doing something illegal crosses a line in my opinion. You claim the moral high ground over him at first, but by the end of it, you stooped to his level with your own little scheme of being a creep. I don't think 2 wrongs make a right here. You became almost as obsessive and deceitful as him. There must have been a better way to handle this. And that's when comment number 2 replies to Daffleduck by saying, "Hey, are you kidding me?" says LostBot2. You have no idea what it's like to actually live through something like this unless it happens to you. When a sick creep is obsessed with you and threatening you, watching your every move, you do what you need in order to survive. Don't you dare judge OP for fighting back against her abuser. Restraining orders and ignoring his behavior clearly weren't working. She gathered evidence to protect herself, not to deliberately go out of her way and ruin his life. Did you forget he showed up there? Have some empathy before you lecture someone in such a terrifying situation about taking the high road. She did what she had to do for her own safety and sanity. End of story. Well, Daffleduck's not done there and replies, I have plenty of empathy, thank you, for the OP and the nightmare she went through, but it seemed like she crossed the line from self-protection into premeditated revenge. Asking a friend to bait the ex into a public scene on purpose so she could record it is really, ethically questionable. In my opinion, she became almost vigilante-like, plotting elaborate schemes to take him down. Again, I absolutely understand the fear and trauma driving her actions, but I do not think that all this can just be justified. And the final comment replied by LostBot2 says, you know what? You clearly have no concept of what living in constant terror of somebody does to your mental state. When the system and police fail to protect victims, they're forced to become vigilantes, as you call it. Condescendingly put it. The OP was brave and resourceful to creatively gather the proof needed to get the authorities to finally take real action. Your privilege is showing badly. Walk a mile in their shoes of the victim before you go all holier than thou about what they should and should not have done while being relentlessly harassed. She said herself the relief of being free from this torment is worth any cost. Well, who are you to judge her methods of survival? Back off, man.
Well, guys, today's story was unique because there was quite a few commenters, and they were talking about how OP was the one out of line. And honestly, that is crazy to me because OP was being, followed by her ex, and it was just a creepy situation, and she did not feel safe. But a lot of people in the comment sections were actually agreeing with Daffleduck33, whose comment we just read earlier that basically says, hey, I have plenty of empathy for OP and the nightmare that she went through, but it seemed like she crossed a line from self-protection into premeditated revenge. So, knowing that, I want to know, do you guys personally believe that OP did in fact go too far? Or do you think, you know what, this girl was scared out of her mind? I mean, this guy just shows up at her house halfway across the country, and here he is, watching her every move. It was weird, it was creepy, and she didn't feel safe. In my opinion, OP is not the a-hole for how she went about exposing this creep. But guys, I do want to know your thoughts, so let's talk about it in the comment section. Thank you for joining me on today's video, and this is my revenge channel, where every single story has something to do with karma or sweet, sweet revenge. So guys, I hope to see you tomorrow. Subscribe to the channel, and of course remember, it's cool to be kind. See ya.